In this video, I'm going to be talking about the reserve shooter and why it's so bad. But is it even bad? The short answer is, it's mediocre. But first, let's look into what the reserve shooter does and when you should use it. The reserve shooter is a soldier and pyro's secondary weapon that mini-crits airborne targets that were launched by rockets, grappling hooks, and jetpacks. The weapon deploys 20% faster than the stock shotgun and has only one downside. The reserve shooter has 2 less bullets than the stock shotgun. Actually, the reserve shooter does not seem that bad when in the hands of the soldier, as launching opponents into the air is somewhat easy with enough practice. The extra mini-crit damage makes you a lot more feared, and it can come into clutch a lot of the times, as the mini-crit would be just enough to kill an opponent. All classes up to 150 health, meaning medic, scout, spy, engineer, and sniper, wouldn't matter if you had the reserve shooter or stock shotgun, as one rocket and one shot from the shotgun or the reserve shooter is just enough to kill them regardless of which secondary you had. Where it makes a difference is when the opponents have 175 health or more. For example, the Pyro and Demo Man mostly require 1 rocket and 2 shots with the reserve shooter, whereas in most cases would need 1 rocket and 3 shots with the stock shotgun, making it faster to kill. Classes above 175 health, meaning soldier and heavy, the stock shotgun would need around 3 shots to kill them, whereas a reserve shooter would only need 2. And with the faster deploy speed, finishing off your opponents would be even faster. The reserve shooter in Pyro is too weak to even consider using. You can't control when you get to use the mini-crits, and it is solely dependent on the enemy's mistake, meaning the reserve shooter can be frustrating to use, and when you do have a chance to use it, it falls off, and having the extra 2 bullets in the stock shotgun would actually have been more beneficial. Honestly, many Pyro mains missed the old reserve shooter. Before the Jungle Inferno update, Pyros who airblasted opponents up into the air were able to switch to reserve shooter to make quick work of them, and offer a really strong secondary overall. The problem is that as a Pyro, it is too easy to lift players into the air, basically guaranteed a mini-crit, and at that range would mean death. But now that that ability has been taken away, some struggle to find use for the reserve shooter and Pyro, as encountering a rocket jumping soldier flying into your direction is fairly niche compared to the amount of times having a stock shotgun would have saved you in another scenario, especially since, as a Pyro, you can airblast potential threats away, essentially registering your reserve shooter as dead weight. Before I end the video off, I would like to suggest some combos with the reserve shooter to get the maximum potential out of it. For the Pyro, the reserve shooter would pair well with the degreaser, as the faster switch speed would make you theoretically more formidable on the battlefield, meaning you would always be fight ready. On the other hand, the soldier would benefit the reserve shooter with their Liberty launcher, as its minus 25% rocket damage means trading it off for the gun bolts can be viable if you want to be more aggressive. Even the extra clip with the Liberty launcher allows you to have more precision juggling victims in the air, allowing you to finish them off with the reserve shooter. In conclusion, the reserve shooter was added to the game to be a fun side grade that allows for fun combos. On soldier, it is easier when hitting opponents into the air than finishing them off. And in the soldier 1v1, the soldier with the reserve shooter will typically have the upper hand, or when diving to kill a medic in the enemy backlines, as the faster switch speed allows you to deploy your damage faster. But Pyro doesn't seem to get any use out of it after the nerf, and is normally just held back compared to the stock shotgun, because having the 2 extra bullets really allows you to stay in the fight quite a lot longer. I actually would not change the reserve shooter at all, as it holds up pretty well in the niche it is meant to be in. There are only certain situations where it's actually better to use the reserve shooter than the stock shotgun. Thanks for watching, and if you found this video insightful, please subscribe to help grow the community.